Hey guys, how's it going? So today I've got this Pontiac G6, it's an '06, and had a problem with the HVAC system, the blower motor not working. That was pretty much all the description that I had. Now checking it, the controller for the HVAC, the whole panel, it doesn't work at all. The lights work when you turn the ignition on, but the actual blower motor switch does not do anything. You can change the mode doors, temperature control. You don't hear any movement under the dash at all. So I was just going to show you a few things here about this job that might help you to try and diagnose what's going on. So let's dive into it. Thanks. Okay, so the problem was that you come in here and you flip the fan control, the speed control switch here, nothing happens. When you do have it in the on position, you come in here and you try the mode door selections, nothing. You don't hear any movement under the dash. The temperature control, you don't hear the baffle in there moving around for that either. Now obviously I don't have the key on right now, I'm just kind of telling you what the symptoms are. So a few things can be wrong here. Obviously there's fuses, there's relays, there's a blower fan resistor. So these are all things that you want to check, and also the fan itself. So under here, use a screwdriver as a pointer. So we've got, this is obviously under the dash here on the passenger side. You've got a 10 amp fuse here. You got a 20 amp fuse here. And you have the relay right here. All three of these work the blower motor fan. So one's, oh, and there is also another 10 amp fuse right down here that you should check too. So check these three. Make sure that those are okay and they're not blown. And then this resistor, which goes under the dash under here, you have to unscrew it, pull it out. And a lot of times these burn up. A good symptom of that is if you only have like one speed that's working, and then that's a pretty telltale sign that it's the resistor here, because this helps with the variable speeds for the motor. Now in the G6, the motor is located under here. So kind of a pain if it is the motor, which in this car it ended up being three things that I found wrong. The resistor was shot, and then the motor was seized also, which I think led to most of the issues here, including the main fuse being blown under the hood. But as you can see, you actually have to cut the old motor out. It's got like a little lip here where it looks like you could separate it, but you actually have to stick a razor blade up in there and you have to cut it. And then there's mounting holes that are around it to be able to mount a new replacement motor. So it would have been nice if they would have engineered that to where you could just unscrew the motor and put a new one in. But, you know, you deal with that with a lot of different cars. Engineering, you know, they're not necessarily thinking about repair jobs. They just, whatever is more convenient for them to get the car out when they're manufacturing it. So let's take a look under the hood. So here again, you have the three fuses and the relay. So you want to check those. The resistor, again. Resistor runs about $40, $45. They're not too hard, they're not really that expensive. And I'll show you some of the options on the blower motors, and I'll show you what I went with. Okay, so now when it comes to under the hood here on the G6, you have right next to the battery here, we'll pull the fuse box cover off, and you'll see that you can see what everything, you know, what all the fuses and relays are here. They're labeled, which is nice. So in our case here, we didn't have any power to the main control at all. So what we're looking at here is, you know, if you try and just kind of scan through the list of different fuses and relays, you're trying to look, you know, look for anything that says HVAC, blower, and so you'll see like down here you'll see 17, 18, 19, cool fan, You know, so those are obvious things to look at. But there's one here that isn't quite obvious, and it's this one here, number 19. It says run relay. That's all it says. So if you didn't know what you were looking for, that wouldn't necessarily jump out at you. But on a visual inspection, I could clearly see that that fuse was blown. So I replaced it, and obviously, when I put that in there, everything came to life. Still didn't have any control though on the fans. I could hear the mode doors working, and the blend door working, but still didn't have any fan control as far as the speeds. So I'll show you what I ended up finding. So when I pulled the resistor for the fan, you can see that it's nice and toasty. So this was burnt out. Didn't even bother going through the troubleshooting process of testing resistance across this, because it's pretty obvious this thing overheated and it's burnt up. The next thing, so I replaced this and then tried it again and didn't have any control, so that logically took me next to the fan, and this is the fan that came out of the car. So you can see where you have to cut out, and you're basically, there you go, you're having to cut through this thin plastic here all the way around. So that's what you're cutting with the razor blade, but it's not too hard at all. You can do it pretty easily. And then this thing pops out from the bottom, and so this is it. Now if you look online, there are a couple different options that you have. So let's see here. Here's the computer. All right, so like here on Amazon, you can buy this one here. Now this one, you'll notice that it just has these mounting studs on the bottom, so you'll be reusing this plastic shell here. You'll be unscrewing or unbolting it from here and there, take that cover off, put it back on the new motor, but then you got to figure out a way to mount it back. So you got to kind of have to get a little creative, whether you're, I wouldn't really recommend gluing it in, but anyway, there's ways to do it. It's not that big a deal. But the easier option is they also sell this one here, and this one comes with it kind of overlaps the areas that you cut, and that's the one I got here in the box. So when you pull this one out, it's actually got kind of like a bezel that goes around, and you'll notice under the dash there are mounting points for this replacement, and it comes with mounting hardware. It's got screws and everything. So you just slide this one in, screw it in, plug her in, and you're ready to go. So this is the much easier option. So this is what we're going to end up using. So one thing I wanted to show you too, why it's always good to check your electrical diagrams here, your schematics. So I'm on all data here. If we go to our diagrams here, I've got the Pontiac G6. I've got an 08 pulled up. It's the same schematics for the years. So we come down here to heating and cooling here. Heating and air conditioning, and ours is a manual, so we'll select that. And let's see here. We'll zoom out here. Okay, so here we go. This is the fuse box under the hood. So this was that number 19 fuse, the run relay. As you can see, this main fuse is what powers the rest of the circuit. So if this 30 amp fuse is blown, then guess what? Nothing else here is going to work for you. This feeds into the body control module, the BCM. So here are those fuses that were under the dash, the 3 fuses, and then we had the relay, the fan relay. So these all checked out okay when I checked those first. They weren't blown, but I didn't have any power to them, and that was because of this fuse being blown. But you can see that drives everything, the fan motor or the blower motor down here. None of that's going to work. So another, quick and easy tip here is if you have access to schematics, and a lot of these you can find with a Google image search. A lot of times people put these up. I do have an all data account, so it's easy to get to. Sometimes you can go to your library and they have subscriptions to services like all data. if you are just wondering to work on your own vehicle, ALLDATA does offer plans for single vehicles for like $30 or $35, and you'll have access to everything that they have for one specific vehicle. So that's an option too. So anyway, yeah, so again, you have fuses under the hood, you have the fuses inside the car under the dash, you have the blower motor resistor that you want to check, and then obviously the fan. Now this fan was completely seized when I pulled it out. It didn't turn. I kind of cracked it loose, but it's still hard to turn. So that fan was not working right. And you can look under here. It's got some like rust buildup in there and stuff. So anyway, I hope this video helped you in your efforts to troubleshoot your G6. If you have any questions, give me leave a message down below, and I'll try and get with you and see if I can answer your question. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.